Welcome back to the program. Now, social entrepreneurship is an increasingly popular topic among nonprofits today.
Simply put, it's a business solution with a social cause. Now, those who support the concept of a social enterprise describe the move as the wave of the future for both profit and non-profit companies.
And to put all that in perspective for us is Pamela Hartigan. She's Managing Director of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, a Swiss-based organization focused on advancing the practice of social entrepreneurship globally.
Pamela, thanks for joining us this morning. We just stepped off a plane literally and into our studio.
Right.
So
that's exactly right.
Now we're going to start off by asking you, the concept of social enterprise is something that's quite new to Asia. You know, and it's if we can backtrack a little, how did it actually begin?
Well, actually, social entrepreneurship has been around since human beings walked the planet. The concept in and of itself is fairly new. And why? Why does it emerge at this time? It really emerges around the time when society starts to organize along business lines. I would date the emergence of social entrepreneurship as a concept back to the mid-70s, when you found that civil society was beginning to organize. And what we had happening was a series of interests in terms of innovation, of sustainability, and around the issue of measurement. Increasingly throughout the last few decades, there has been an emphasis on the fact that the not-for-profit sector does not measure its achievements, that it doesn't monitor what it does. It varies as businesses do. Businesses keep a very, very tight look on how they're doing because they need to know how their products are selling. Well, more and more, the challenge was to nonprofits to do the same, to begin to measure their impact, but most of all, not to continue to use the same approaches to solve problems that were lingering, but basically what they were doing was organizing the problem, not really changing the systems that caused the problem. Social entrepreneurs are increasingly known for their innovative approaches, for the fact that they also are generating income. And here there is a difference in terms of social entrepreneur is just not only a not-for-profit. You are also increasingly seeing people who start for-profit organizations. They don't go public, but their entire focus is on systems change, innovation, and social transformation. And that's the real excitement for me about social entrepreneurship.
Well, you said quite a bit there. Just break it down for us. Give us an example of social entrepreneurship for a nonprofit cause.
For a nonprofit cause. I'll give you an example from the United States. I think that many of your listeners or watchers would like that. There is a woman in the United States whose name is Wendy Kopp. She graduated from Princeton. Her thesis at Princeton was, how do we create a change in the education system in this country where you are born doesn't actually color the achievement that you will have. As you know, in the United States is a highly inequitable country. Where you are born, the neighborhood, your race very much limits or not your possibilities. What Wendy did was she created a movement in the United States called Teach for America, where, if you can imagine here in Singapore, your top students graduating from university, promising to dedicate the first 2 years of their post-university studies to go and work in the poorest areas of the United States and fall in love with education. Whether or not they go on to be teachers is irrelevant. If they go on to be lawyers, if they go on to be doctors, they will always be passionate about the importance of education. Now, Wendy is a not-for-profit, but what she has done is create a leveraged movement so that she is fully self-sustaining. Teachers and government and not-for-profits and companies are all supporting Teach for America. So she is monitoring every aspect of those achievements, evaluating how she does, and clearly she's highly innovative. Who would have ever thought? Most people thought she was crazy, which is a common trait.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that, because you did mention, I checked out your website, and it says the ideal entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, should be someone between a Richard Branson and a Mother Teresa.
That's exactly right.
And finding that in between where they have the drive. So these are entrepreneurs in that sense, but for a different cause.
Yes, yes. They are entrepreneurs completely. Social entrepreneurs are much more like business entrepreneurs than they're like the Red Cross. And you will find that similar drive, that similar capacity to imagine opportunities where only people see problems. Same thing as a business entrepreneur. They're able to establish that niche market. And so very much so, I think that business and social entrepreneurs are really the same kind of person. It's just that one is focused on how do I transform society, and the other is focused on
businesses will base their performance on bottom lines, how much they boosted the bottom lines. What about social entrepreneurship? How do they define success?
It's much harder. It's much, much harder. Can you imagine? Social entrepreneurs define success as what have I been managing to transform, not just people's lives, but actually the systems in place. You will find that many social entrepreneurs will set in motion, they will bring to fruition their idea for social transformation and start having a widespread impact on the people that they are affecting. But that's not enough for them. And I have found many of them go into politics because they recognize that bottom up is not enough and top down is not effective. So how do I get this nutcracker approach going where I actually am able to change the policies that will then change the system? So they monitor success very closely, but they're never happy, even when they're achieving great things. They're constantly looking for more.
And that's a great thing. And you mentioned sort of moving towards politics. I think one of the issues is that you go out, you want to do so much, but you find you're facing so many obstacles.
That's right.
You know, what do you think are some of the issues that, you know, many social entrepreneurs face nowadays, and how can they sort of try and overcome that?
I think the main issue is scale. You know, social entrepreneurs have grand visions of social transformation, but how do you begin? And you have to begin small. You can't begin huge. How do you begin small and then grow and grow and grow? And that, I think, is the main issue for them, is how to be able to achieve scale, which is one of the reasons why social entrepreneurs are more frequently establishing for-profit organizations to achieve their ends, because they realize that as not-for-profits, they will continuously have to depend on handouts. So how do you actually leverage society and, you know, companies and governments to believe in the innovation and to really help scale that, because they cannot do that alone?
Well, it is indeed a long process and needs everybody's commitment in this cause. Thank you so much, Pamela, for coming in this morning to explain to us all about the new concept that's emerging right now, social entrepreneurship.
That's right. That's right. And sorry, I was just going to say that was it is an exciting challenge. I think something that needs to be worked a little bit at a time, but it's a hard journey. We have with us Pamela Hartigan, the Managing Director of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship.
That's right, and she's in Singapore for the Social Entrepreneurship Forum 2005 that kicks off tomorrow at the University Cultural Centre Hall at the National University of Singapore.
This is Primetime Morning on Channel News Asia. Stay with us.